Hi guys, so for week 2 we'll be looking into the terminology or definitions that involve under this study of ecology and also ecosystem. And not only that, we'll be also looking briefly into um, the hierarchy or the levels of systems involved under ecology and also ecosystem, and we will also look into different types of ecosystems that we will be dealing with. So before that, what is ecology? Okay, so ecology basically is a study, okay, a study that it deals with living things and also non-living things, and in an environment. Okay, so basically this is a study which look into how does these two components, or we call it the living things and non-living things, or we call it even abiotic and biotic factors, they interact each other in an environment. So that is about what is ecology about. Okay, so the study of ecology is divided into several levels. Okay, so from down, if you look, is from species level. Okay, from one unit, from species level, several species will form a population, several population will form a community, and then when you have different community, you form an ecosystem, and then biome and also biosphere. Okay, so we will look into this one by one. Okay, so when you look at this um, figure, okay, so individual, okay, individual is about one single individual. Okay, and this individual normally it's from one single species. So when a group of individual, okay, a group of individual of the same species that live in the same area, we call them as a population. For example, the population of fish, the population of frogs, and so on. So this is what we call a population. And normally when we use the word population, it means we are referring to one single species actually. Okay, so when several populations in an environment, for example in a pond, you have the population of fish, the population of frogs, the population of grass. When they're staying together, we call them as community. Okay, we call them as community. And when all these living things, they are together with the non-living things, for example air, soil and water, we regard them as an ecosystem. Okay, so as you can see in this image, okay, when you have the living things and the non-living things living together, we call them as an ecosystem. So ecosystem in here can be different ecosystem. For example, a pond ecosystem, a tropical forest ecosystem, an ecosystem, for example, a mangrove forest ecosystem, ecosystem along the ocean and so on. So when all these different types of ecosystems, they form together, we call it biome. Okay, we call it biome. And also we will look into different types of biome soon. Okay, and different types of biome will form what we call as biosphere or our earth. Okay, so basically this picture clearly shows, okay, what is ecosystem about. Okay, so when we talk about ecosystem, it is about the not only non-living things but non-living things and non-living things, living things and non-living things, they're staying together. Okay, means they are interacting together in an environment. Okay, this is what we call as an ecosystem. So if you look into this figure, you can see there's a human beings, animals, plants. Not only that, but you also have the abiotic factors or the non-living factors in here, such as the air, the water, the soil, the rock, and so on. Okay, so a group of ecosystems, okay, a group of ecosystem will form biomes. Okay, will form biomes, and we will look into each of these biomes, okay, one by one. Okay, for example, we have a biome called tropical rainforest. Okay, so tropical rainforest is a biome, and tropical rainforests um, are found in most of the countries which have this rain, and then it's also hot at the same time throughout the year. And most of these tropical rainforest countries, we have a lot of rains. Okay, we have heavy rains. For example, Malaysia, Indonesia, southern part of India, these are the countries where, or even Brazil. okay, are examples of countries which have the biome called tropical rainforest. And what is the main characteristic of this tropical rainforest is that normally they have these four layers, okay, where we have the forest floor, that is at the bottom of the forest, and then we have the understory, which consists of shrubs, and then we have the canopy layer, which where you can find most of the tree canopies are, and we have one or two species where they grow taller than the other species, which we call them as emergent layer. So this is a classic example of, if you go to any of the tropical rainforests, this is the layer that you will find in any of the tropical rainforests, and you can't find these four layers in other forests. Okay, you can only find these four layers in tropical rainforests. Okay, these are the zones or the countries where you can find, okay, the tropical rainforest. So most of the tropical rainforests are along the zone or near to the equatorial. Okay, we also have another type of biome called savanna. So savanna basically, I think you guys perhaps you have watched documentaries from National Geographic and so on. So when they show Africa, or basically they will show us savanna. So this is a different biome. We don't have savanna in Malaysia, but we have savanna, for example, in mostly in Africa, in India, and also some part of Australia and so on. So savanna in here is mean they are grassland, but they are in a temperature, in a very high temperature, very low rainfall, and very low humidity and so on. So this is what we call as savanna. So these are the places where you can find the biome savanna. Okay, and then we also have desert even more drier kind of biome, where you can find mostly in the Middle East, okay, the Middle East, north of Africa, some part of China, and also Australia, okay. And we also have another type of biome where we call as a temperate grassland, okay. This it's not much difference with savanna. Savanna is also a grassland, but savanna is a grassland found in a very hot and dry place, whereas temperate grassland is another biome. It's also a grassland, but it is found in a temperate kind of in cooler zones. Okay, in cooler zones, for example, in America, in middle part of America, some part of Europe, and so on. Okay, and we have also another type of biome where we call as the temperate broadleaf or deciduous forest. This is type of forest that we can find in most of these European countries, where or these countries where they have the four seasons, where they tend to shed their leaves in the autumn and so on. So these types of forests, we call them as the temperate broadleaf or deciduous forest. Okay, examples of species that you can find, for example, the oak, birch, beech, and maple. Okay, so most of these forests and the temperate forests or in the temperate countries, they are the soil are very rich in inorganic and also organic nutrients. So these are the places where you can find most of these temperate broadleaf forests. Okay, mostly in those countries which have the four seasons: spring, winter, summer, and fall. Okay, so this is another type of biome which you can find even in colder regions of the world. Okay, for example, in the northern part of Russia, and also the northern part of Norway and Sweden and so on. The temperature is very low. Okay, so you can only find coniferous trees, for example, pine trees. Okay, pine trees where they have this kind of structure they call cones, okay, pine cones. Okay, so these types of forests normally you can find in these parts of the region. Okay, very northern, very cold kind of climate. Okay, so this so as a whole for this week, okay, you need to know what is ecology about. You know what is ecosystem. You should be able to define what is ecosystem. What are the components that involve in ecosystem, for example, the abiotic and biotic factors. And you should know to able to give some examples of biome, for example, the tropical rainforest, savanna, temperate grasslands, desert, and taiga, and deciduous forest, and so on. Okay, so with that, I'd like to thank you, and see you guys in our next class.